Welcome back to the Crochet Karate. So, as my friends at yarnspirations.com, we're going to try the ripple hat today, and this is called Feather and Fans. Now, I've already done a feathers and fans cowl, and then I also did a blanket pattern, so I don't see really much of the difference of actually adding this. This is an intermediate level. So I always want to, with my personal feelings, is to push myself a little further with my knitting. I don't want to keep on doing the same patterns because boredom will hit in, and therefore it's game over. So what we need to do is that we need to create the brim, and we can use circulars for this. Now, these circulars that I'm using are really quite neat. They are by a brand called, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, I'm so new to knitting, it's called Lykke. And they come in a kit, and when I'm ready, we start off with a smaller knitting needle first. And so basically what it looks like is this, and the heads are just changeable. So when I go to change the heads over, when I go to do the body of it, I need to go up a size. So instead of replacing all of it, I just need to push back the yarn and then just replace the head, and therefore I'll have a different size. So that's something that I am working through, and these are not very big. Okay, so there you go. So let's get into this pattern today. We are going to need 4 sets of tools. You'll need a 4mm size US 6 in a circular knitting needle. That is what is creating your brim, like you see here. And then once we get beyond the brim, we are then in the main body, we're going to change to the circular knitting needles, and it'll be a 4.5mm US 7. So I'm going to switch over to a bigger head, just like you see here. Okay, so I'll change those out and I'll show you how that's done. And then what we have is that you'll need a double point knitting needle in a 4.5mm US 7 to conclude it at the very end. So if I want to change any of these heads, they're just literally screwed on like so. And they come with the tool. So there's a hole that is right here, and the tool just slides in, and it just helps you prevent it from spinning, and you just hold on to it and you just give it a good tug, and then that's it. Okay, so therefore it's good to go. So it's a really neat idea, and I think it's a really great set. That's keeping me interested, and we're going to begin with starting with the cast on process using the smallest circular knitting needle with 92 stitches with the main color. So it's whatever color you want to do your brim, and we are using Peyton's Classic Wool Worsted today, which is exactly what you see here on camera. So let's begin this project. So our goal is to do the brim of the project. Once we get it set up, it's good to go. So we need to get ourselves started. It takes me a couple hours in order to do something like this, so I do it ahead of time at nighttime, so I'm ready for filming. So let's just grab our yarn, and we're going to create a slip knot. Now, somebody's going to ask me the length of these here. These are smaller. These are not 16 inches. So let me just measure what tip to the tip is. From tip to tip is 14 inches. This cord's not very long. So usually it can be 16, 18, 24. So you want small enough that you can get around in order to do that. So let's begin. So create a slip knot. And I want to do a twist and transfer concept. If you want to do something else, you can. So in order to do this, you're just going to slide in your needle. Okay. This is an intermediate level project, but we have basics for casting on. So you'll knit and then just come up underneath and put on. And you're going to do that so that you have a total of 92 stitches in the round. So please do that and make sure that you double count, if not triple count, to make sure you have 92, and meet me back here in just a moment. So I've been casting on right here. So let's begin the first round. I have verified twice that it's 92 stitches. One thing with me starting to learn to knit, I want to make sure I'm accurate, so I kind of paranoid that I'm not. Take the whole project and flip it upside down so that the yarn strand is on the right. I'm only teaching right-handed today. And what I want to do is just naturally spread and pull and stretch this so that it gets to the other side. So keep on spreading and just start spreading it up the other needle. I find the shorter ones, these 14s, are a lot easier to manage. And as I'm working through it, I'll be going in a continuous revolution. So there you go. So this is what we have. So we're going to begin. And what I want you to do before you start, take a stitch marker, whatever you have, and put it onto this needle. This will help us keep count. It's not part of the project, but just resting on the needle. And when you go to knit the first 2, so knit stitch the first 2, it's just around there so that you can see when you come back around. The first time you do the knit stitch, After you do it, pull it off and just use your finger and tug. Make sure it's tight because you're continuing to make the first attachment. So then knit stitch the next one, and you also want to tug on that one. Okay, and that helps keep it together, so now you have a full circle. Now the next two are going to be a purl. So as you're working the stitches, you're going to be pushing down this side, and you'll be using this hand to be pushing the stitches up. So you're going to purl the next two. And you're going to alternate between the two stitches all the way around. So just get in the practice of pushing down and then pushing up on this side. So the next two are knit stitch, and then the next two are purl. And I want you to alternate between the two all the way around to the stitch marker, and I'll be right back in just a moment. So I'm coming all the way around, and the last two stitches, if your counts are proper, should be a purl stitch. Okay, because you started off with a knit stitch when you did it. So this is the very first time you're ever going to go around completely. And so you're going to notice that there's going to be a small gap, especially if you didn't pull tight enough, right here. Don't worry about that. It's still attached, but to start the next round and all the rounds now until there's 2 inches, you want to just transfer your stitch marker so you can always know where it is. Move your yarn back so that you can start the knit stitch. So it's just a matter of keeping the stitches in check with each other. So it's just the same stitch. So 2 knit stitches, 2 purls, 2 knit stitches, and 2 purls. So you need to go completely around this thing over and over and over until you get to the 2 inches tall. And then that's where I'm going to pick you up next. Okay, so you just keep on going around and you will see that the pattern will look like this. So what I'm going to do is pick you up at this moment here, and so just get this done, and then I'll see you back in a couple hours or so, or a few days, depending on you, and we'll continue then making this hat. So welcome back. You should have 2 inches done. Just take your tape measure and measure. And what I wanted to do is just remove my stitch marker. Now, if you have these types of needles, if not, then what we have to do is we have to transform these to 4.5 inches. So you can just slide these down to expose the connection here. Now, if you have a different size needle and they're not removable, what you'll do is you'll just knit with that new circular, and then as you're knitting that with the new one, the other one, just leave it off to the side, and then it will eventually all transfer to the new circular. So let's just change these over, and these are currently 4mm, and we need 4.5 next. Just to recap with this tool, you just insert your piece in, and then you just untwist, and just keep on holding on it, and just put the new size on. So the cord is really not reflective of the size of the needle. It's the actual piece itself. And so then you'll do the same with the other side. So moving the knitting back up and getting a stitch marker. We're gonna need more stitch markers coming up soon, but not quite yet. Just put it on so you can see where you've gone. And so for the first round, this is an increase round. We currently have 92 stitches, we need 108. So in order to do this is that we are going to knit the first 2. So just the knit stitch, we're not doing any purling in this round. So knit the first 2, so 1 and 2. And then we're gonna knit front back. How this works is that you are going to push your needle in and knit stitch and pull through like this, but do not pull it off yet. Rotate around and collect that again. Okay, and this is the back side of that same stitch. Wrap. We have videos just available for this type of stitch if you need it. And so now just 1 stitch just became 2. And then you can slide off. So now here is your sequence then for the remaining of the round until you get to the very end. So you're going to knit the first 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to knit front back. So knit, wrap, do not pull off yet, go into the same one, but just come over and into the back side of it. Takes a bit of practice getting used to it, and your tension matters too. So you're coming into the back side, pull through, and so one stitch just became 2. So then you'll knit the next 5 and then knit back front the next one. So you're doing the increase. Please do this all the way around. I'll meet you near the end. So I'm coming back around. I just did a front back increase. There's 4 stitches that are left over in the end. So the very final 4 stitches that you will have will be a knit stitch. I would verify if I were you that you do have 108 stitches. Maybe you had 107, just put another front back in somewhere just to increase that stitch work. If you had 109, maybe just do knit stitch 2 together just to kind of bring it in balance. So instead of just having to redo your work, that's a great way to be able to fix yourself. We're now going to transfer this, and I want to get some stitch markers ready for me. So as I begin to do the repeating now of rounds number 1 through 4 through the feathers and fans, we're going to need some stitch markers in order to help us keep count. And this is what I would do if I were you and you were me. So I now have some stitch markers. It's a different color than the start, so I know that this is the beginning one, and then the rest of them are just the sequence going around. I found this was a lot easier to do the stitch markers to keep count. So in round number 1, we're just going to start, and we're just going to knit the first, all of the stitches going all the way around. So please just knit rounds number 1 and 2. So please do those 2 rounds. You already know what to do. This is helping to stabilize everything that you have. So knit 1 round and the 2nd round, and meet me on the 3rd in just a moment. Okay, so now I'm back just finishing the last one here. So rounds 1 and 2 are just a knit stitch all the way around. So we're going to transfer this over. And before we begin, we need to include a second yarn. So I guess we'll just put this down, and we're going to grab the yarn that you want to play with. It's the highlight and color that you see on the hat, and just create a loop like this. Do not do any slip knots. And when I start to do this round, I'm going to use that as my starting. So we're going to be introducing the stitch markers that you see, and let's just go at this slowly. So we're going to begin by doing a K2 together. So that's a knit 2 together. So with this, go into 2 stitches at the same time. Okay, so capturing 2. And instead of using this color, just let it hold and use the new color and loop it and pull through. And we need to do this a total of 3 times, and we're only going to use this color now going forward. So that was 1, and I'll show you how to secure in these ends later. So then you're going to knit 2 together again, so it's the 2nd time. And then knit 2 together the 3rd time. Okay, so now we're going to do something different. We're going to now yarn over and knit 1 6 times. So how I would say to my brain is that you need to move this yarn around the front and over and back. So that's yarn over 1 and knit 1. So you knit 1. And what this is doing is creating that extra loop that you need. So you subtracted out the loops when you did that knit 2 together. Here you're putting it back. And you need to do this 6 times. So yarn over for 2 and then knit 2. Okay, yarn over for 3, knit 3. Yarn over for 4, knit 4. Yarn over for 5, knit 5. Yarn over for 6, knit 6. So you've now just done that 6 times. And I say it that way in my head, so if you want to say it differently, that's up to you. So now we're going to knit 2 together 3 more times. So the next 3 stitches are going to knit 2 together. So you're going to do 1, and then you're going to knit the next one. So that's 2, and knit the next one, 2 together. That's 3. This is one complete set of what we're doing of the wave that you see in the hat. I want you to put in a stitch marker that's a different color, and that will help you to see where these stitches are in the future. And we're going to be moving those stitch markers up now for the duration of the hat. Let's take you through another cycle, and then I'll let you do that this round on your own. So you're going to knit the first, knit 2 together 3 times to start. So we have 1, 2, my apologies, this is 2, and 3, and then we're going to yarn over and knit 1 6 times. So keep moving this stuff down. So yarn over for 1, knit 1, yarn over and knit 2. I wouldn't have caught myself if I wasn't saying it out loud. So yarn over for 3, knit 3, yarn over for 4, knit 4, yarn over for 5, knit 5, yarn over for 6, knit 6, and then the next, there's going to be 3 stitches left, which are knit 2 together. So pick in the next 2 and put that together. So that's once, okay, and then do it again. This is the second time, and finally this is the third time. And that's going to be the end of the cycle, and I want you to put another stitch marker there. So these will help you see where the waves are individually. So you have 1 wave, second wave is already in. So you can reverse back the video now to go through the cycle again, and I'll meet you at the end of the round in just a few moments. So I'm coming all the way back around, and I have my 3 sets that are at the end of those together stitches, and that completes the last set of 18. So if you're not sure and you have a weird number, every set has 18 stitches in it if you were to count between the stitch markers. So you can see now the stitch markers are in play, and every time we are moving forward, we're going to move those up as we go. We're going to continue this color into round number 4. So I'm not ready to deal with this loose end yet. I don't have enough of the blue on here to do that. I like the darker blue. Let's do number 4, transfer over. And in number 4, we're going to do a purl stitch all the way around. There's no counting involved, but every time you pass a stitch marker, I need you to transfer it over. So put the yarn in front first, and then just purl. And that's what creates that fuzzy look that you see within the hat pattern. So you're just going to continue to do that. The ones that will look weird to you are going to be the ones that have the yarn over that we did. And I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so these ones, see how it looks? It looks weird. That's because we've added a stitch, but you're still going to treat it like a regular stitch of just a purl each. So I'm going to get to the next stitch marker shortly. And so this stitch marker will tell you in the future if you're on your stitch counts are proper or not. So I learned that with this, doing the fans and feathers before. The stitch marker is coming up, and it's going to be one after this. And so when we get to that one, keep it right where it is and just transfer. So keep the yarn in front. We're now ready to transfer this one over, so just transfer it. Don't let that stitch marker get in the way of what you want to do, and just continue to go around. Okay, so make sure the stitch marker stays exactly where it's supposed to stay, right in between. And continue to purl in every stitch going around. Move those stitch markers as you go, and I'll see you at the end of round number 4 in a moment. So I've now just come around on number 4. So I'm going to put the yarn in behind. There's my stitch marker, but I'm going to put this yarn in behind and I'm going to let it hold because I'm done with this color for 2 rounds. Let's transfer this and let's start round number 1 all over again. So we'll do a whole new cycle and we're going to start with number 1 next. One more thing is that I have to secure in this loose strand, but I'm not ready to do it yet. I will do it at the end of the next cycle. So let's do that. So when you start number 1, you're going to grab that lighter color or whatever color you decided to use. And now you are just going to straight knit stitch for rounds number 1 and 2 all over again. When you do this one, make sure that you do pull up on it to get rid of any slack so it doesn't appear loose in any way. And make sure that you do it on the second one as well. That's always the secret apparently for going around these things. So do round 1 and 2, just straight knitting with this color, and we'll be right back in a moment. So before I forget, when you get to those stitch markers, you got to make sure you transfer those over. So I'm now at the end of number 2. So 1 and 2 are just a straight knit stitch. You're going to grab the blue one, the other one that was used for that fancy stuff. You're going to grab that one next and you're going to transfer over. And I'm going to take you through one cycle and you can reverse the video back. So once you get that blue one ready, we're going to start. And you're going to start with putting the first 2 together and knit 2 together a total of 3 times. The first time you do it, make sure you do tug on it to get rid of any slack. So we have 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to do that 6th thing again. So wrap for 1, so yarn over for 1, knit 1, yarn over for 2, knit 2, yarn over for 3, knit 3, yarn over for 4, knit 4, yarn over for 5, knit 5, yarn over for 6, knit 6. If your math is right, you should have 6 stitches left to the stitch marker now that that's in. So 2, 4, and 6. So the next is going to be 2 together. So you have 1. The next 2 are together. 2 and 3. So now that I have the stitch marker right where it is, you can confirm that the wave is going to match from what you did before. Transfer your stitch marker with you and start a new cycle. So knit 2 together 3 times, do the yarn over and knit 6 times, and then yarn over 2 together 3 times, and therefore you'll have another set. So please continue to repeat this over and over and over until you get back around. So I'm coming up on the 3rd round, and now the 4th round is next. So switch the yarn to the front side and then begin to purl every stitch around. So you don't need to count. Just make sure your stitch markers end up right where they're supposed to. Okay, so they're in between. So keep purling all the way around for round number 4, and then we're going to go through the cycle all over again. You can just reverse the videos back for that, and we'll keep on chatting from that point. So go all the way around and see you at the end of number 4. So we're at the number 4. So you're going to repeat back. You can use the video description to see the video chapters to go back to row number 1 without a lot of explanation if you don't need it. But what I want to do now is that you can do that. For those that want to secure in that starting, you only have to do it one time. It's the blue, and I want to secure this in the back side using a tapestry needle so it doesn't come out. And our goal is that the very first time it may be a little loose, so you just got to open it up like this and kind of pull on it, and it actually looks good. But if it's opened up, you're going to see it. And what I'm going to do is just secure it in behind. Just stay within there. If you see the needle go through, you're going too deep. And you just want to tie it so it ties itself into a knot in the back side. Okay, so you're going to do it again. So we're going to continue the other 2 colors all the way until you get to 8.5 inches tall. Okay, this is actually a 2 format. So what this means is that you're just repeating the patterns 1 through 4 over and over and over until you can measure 8.5 inches from the very base here to the top. And so just keep doing that. And when I come back, it'll probably be a few days for me, but when I come back, I will make sure that I have that done and we're gonna continue along. So it's a really neat pattern. So continue and I'll see you back here in just a few seconds. So I left you about 5 days ago and I've just been working on and off and on during the evenings, and look at that, nice and stretchy. I'm really quite excited about it. I never had any issues. I thought I might make mistakes along the way. I didn't. So that's really kind of neat. So now we're going to move on to this part here. So I've just finished now to 8.5 inches. So 8.5 from the base to where I am. And now we're going to continue with the next round. After we get this section done, we're going to change to double point needles of the same size, so 4.5 millimeter US 7, so I'll be using these. And I'm going to switch those when it tells me to. So let's continue. We're moving to the next round at this point. So let's begin, and we're just going to switch our colors back and just grab the other one. And this whole last part is going to be relatively easy tutorial-wise, because I'm just going to give you the instruction. So I'll show you. So we're going to knit 4, it says K4. So we're going to knit 4. So we'll count those out together. So we're going to say 1. I think you can release these stitch markers too. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in actual fact, keep the one that's the beginning one because I have it in green. So you got 4, and then it says knit 2 together, and then repeat that all the way around. So we're going to just go in, and like you had been before with the 2 togethers, you're just going to go in and grab 2, knit, and then start with the next one, knit 4, 2 together, knit 4, 2 together, and do that all the way around. This is the next round, starting with the decrease. So I've gotten this far in the project, and I actually screwed up the last round. So what I'm doing is called this tinking, and I'm just taking out just 1 stitch at a time, and I'm placing the other loop back on. And what I've done is that I was supposed to knit 4, put 2 together, and I think during my counting I was daydreaming too much. So anyway, I can see in the back end when I did the 2 together, and you can see it's missing here. So what I'm doing is I'm just tinking back until where I can find the error, because I had extra stitches left over when I came around. So just carefully, and it's easier if this project is resting on something like a table or your lap, and just so that there's no tension to pull any of these stitches out. And this one is a double, so there's 2 of those there, so I'm just going to grab the first one. And you got to make sure the orientation is proper. And how you can tell that is that the stitch before it, see this? It's going like this. So the one that is the strand is coming from the back over to the next stitch. Okay, so let me just show you that again. So I'm going to pull it 1. So the strand that's coming out of here goes to the back side of this one and then back over the top. And hopefully that helps you to know. It's called tinking. And I'm just going to tink back to where I think the error is. Okay, so I got myself corrected, and whew, you never know, right? Screw up right at the end. So the next round we're going to start, and we're just going to knit equally all the way around, and please do this for the next round here. So knit this round. So we're now ready for the next round. So we need to change this color out. So we're just going to just switch this over. And in this round, we're going to do another decrease. So grabbing that secondary color we've been playing with. And in this round here, we're going to K3. So we're going to knit 3. Just with this, make sure you do pull it, tighten it up a little bit. So knit 3. So we have 1, 2, and 3, and then knit 2 together. Okay, so put the next 2 together and repeat that sequence all the way around. So knit 3 and then 2 together, and I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so I've just come all the way around. I've already transferred my stitch marker. Now going to do a purl, just 1 purl in each stitch all the way around, so no reduction. And please do this all the way around, and we're going to be switching over to the double point needles after this. I'll be right back. So I'm back, and it now states to change to the double point needles. So we're going to do that as we go. So my recommendation for you for this is that it's going to be about 13 or so stitches, but I recommend that whenever you do a knit 2 and then 2 together, that you keep it onto the same set of needles so that it's not just a 2 together on a separate needle. So keep them in kind of groups and it will be a lot easier for you. I'm going to take off the stitch marker and I'm going to apply it to the second stitch so it just doesn't fly off the needles. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to push this one down. And as we knit, we're going to be transferring over to the double point. So we're going to start first, and we need to get the main color back up. Okay, so let's pull it a little snug, and let's begin. So we're going to knit 2, and then we're going to put 2 together. Okay, so, and then we're going to repeat that cycle all the way. The goal for you is to get this onto 4 sets, or to the 4 needles in the round. Okay, and as we begin to transfer, so I'm going to just stick with you for a little bit longer here. So we're going to knit 2. It's taken me a while to get used to double points, and then put 2 together. And knit 2, put 2 together. You want to put that underneath, it's out of your way. Okay, and how many? 2, 4, 6, 8, so I can do another set. So we're going to knit 2. And put 2 together. Do you see how they're kind of, I'm keeping them kind of in the same multiple? Even if one needle has like an extra group versus another one, it doesn't matter so much. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good enough for me. So now I'm going to jump to another needle. So grab another needle from your collection, and you're going to start immediately with knitting. So put this one in behind, and you're going to grab the same color. The trick is when you jump these needles, you have to be tight. So you have to just go around. And you're gonna, once you do the knit stitch, you're just gonna use this finger, pull up on it to get rid of any slack, and knit the next one. It's kind of a pain as you're in the beginning of a jump, but you'll get used to it. And then it took me a bit, so I'm not gonna try to be so dismissive. So then you're gonna knit 2 together. So the first 2 are in, and then you knit the next 2 together. I know, I'm making it look like a dog's breakfast. Unfortunately, with knitting, you have to eventually go to these double points to get the hats to be finished. Okay, so do you see what's happening with me? I'm grabbing an extra piece of the strand. So I just want to be careful about that. Be selective. There you go. So now I'm going to knit 2. And I'm getting further away from this one, so it's going to get out of my way a little bit better. So knit 2 and then put the next 2 together. So I'm looking for approximately around 13 or so stitches, but again, keeping them in the sets before I jump to the next one. Keep moving that up, and you're basically going to be getting rid of this circular needle in the end. So we're going to knit 2, so 1 and 2. And then put the next 2 together. Knit 2. Okay, put the next 2 together. I'm changing the brand, so sometimes it's harder. Sometimes when people are screwing up their knitting, they think it's personal and they think it's them. Sometimes it's actually the brand of hooks. So the brand. So I do have a few extra things there. So when I go back through this, I don't want to collect that one. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I'm going to do another set. So do 2. And then the next 2 together. And then we're going to jump needles again. Before you go too far, just push these halfway through so they won't slide off. and then just slide that off and start another needle. Leave that one in behind now, and then grabbing that same yarn, we're going to wrap around and knit the first two. Again, the first one has to be pulled tight as well as the second. Okay, so you can pull on the second one, but after the second one's in, you can't pull it any tighter. So you have to make sure that you do it immediately and not think about it later on. Okay, and then put two together. So I want you to continue in this same fashion going around, and then by the time you get around, there should be 4 needles that are holding the work. So about every 12 or so stitches at the end of after 2 together, you want to put them, you want to keep everything together in that sense. So just continue to go around in the same format. So I've just come all the way back around, and this is the last one with the 2 together, and that should be, and so therefore you can release your circulars and just kind of push halfway through. And so at this point, even though it's not an equal amount per one, I know that the groups are together in the sense of being able to do a repeat. Let's move on to the next round. So let's begin the next round and just getting everything back in. So the needle that we're transferring from here, we want to push up and we want to grab a spare one. So it's the 5th one, and we're going to just knit all the way around. So like I shared before, is that once you do the first one, you just have to make sure that it's tight. Okay, so you just go pull tight and do the second one, and the second one's the last opportunity you have to make it tight so that you don't see the seam lines. And you're just gonna straight knit all the way around. I'll take you to the first jump, so you don't have to worry about counting at all. Okay, you're gonna come to this one. So this is the last one on this needle here. So go right to that one. And then once you just get in the habit, after you finish one, take it out, push this about halfway through, and then turn, and then push this. So these needles are the yarn is ready to go, and then use the one that you've been playing with to start. It takes a bit of finesse. For me, I find it a little bit more difficult to show you on a table versus my lap, but you know, it is what it is, right? So you're just going to come around. The first needle is always a pain in the ass to get around. Okay, and then you're just going to keep on moving. Keep these needles in behind. It will just be easier and out of your way. So just kind of get in the habit of doing that and continue to knit all the way around. So I've now just come all the way back around. I can tell where I stopped and start by the carrying yarn. So I had this stitch marker that I forgot to put in, but I realized that I can use that too. That's something that you might have already noticed. Let's begin the next round. Let's move our yarn up on this needle here, and we're going to be using the secondary color, and we're going to be doing a reduction. So we'll use the secondary color this time, and you're going to knit the first one. Again, pull tight because it's the first time, and then you're going to knit the next 2 together. And you're going to repeat that sequence all the way around, and everything because of the way that I had you do it, of making sure that all the sets were on each needle. Essentially, you should be able to get all the way to the end. So let's just prove that. So we're going to knit the first one and then knit the next 2 together. Sorry, I'm kind of looking clumsy, so I'm waiting for somebody to comment about that. I've been using the wood, driftwood needles, so I've now just switched to metal, so I'm finding myself a little clunky. Okay, knit the next one, and I am right, so the last 2 are here on the needle, and those are knit 2 together. So just keeping that sequence all the way around, just keep jumping, and I'll see you at the end of this round in a moment. Okay, so we're getting smaller and smaller, and now moving on to the next round, using the same color we were just using, we're going to begin to purl. So remember, before you do that, you just got to get that yarn in front. Okay, bring it in front first. So just bring the, so we just came all the way around, and now I'm just ready to start the next round. It's going to be a purl. Let's get that yarn in front first because it just makes sense. and we're going to begin. So I just came all the way around. It's getting smaller and smaller. So we're now going to purl. Okay, so before we do that, you got to get that yarn that we're playing with. It's the same color, and we want to get that yarn in front. Okay, so let's just get it in front and begin to purl. Okay, and again, like it was before, you got to make sure that you pull that yarn tight and continue to purl all the way around. So there's no reduction, just a straight purl, and I'll be right back in a moment. So I've just come all the way back around. This blue color, the secondary, is now done. Just cut this so it's longer. So let's cut this yarn a little bit longer, this one, and then we're back to the main color. We can toss that to the inside, and we're going to do the very final round. So the last round here is just going to be knit 2 together, so just grabbing that up, and every other one, or sorry, every 2 is just going to come together. Again, pull tight, and I don't need to take you through the whole round. Just make sure that you pull tight after each jump, and just put 2 togethers all the way around, and I'll be back in a moment. I've now gone all the way around, and this is it. So I want to cut this yarn here. Let me just zoom you out a little bit here. And I'm just going to cut it long enough so that I can collect what's left and also seal it shut. Let's grab a tapestry needle and put that on. So right where I stopped, right here, I want to get the next needle, and I just want to drag this through the loops on those needles. Okay, so just going through. You can probably collect a couple at a time or more. You might be able to get all of them, and you're just gliding it up underneath. Okay, I don't want to push my luck, so I'm just going to grab 2 and just kind of push that through and pull that yarn. And I don't want to pull it tight. I just want to, just so it secures that loop from coming apart. And you can slide those technically off and then get the next 2 on there and pull through. So just continue to do that, releasing these needles as you go, and I'll be right back in a moment. Then coming on the last needle here, remember I haven't secured the dark blue in yet. I'm not going to do that right away. I'm just going to do that in a few moments after I get this blue one secured in. Okay, so I can pull that out. Put that blue, the darker blue, in behind so you can have access to it. And what you're going to do is you're just going to pull on this and it will pull the top shut. Okay. So the dark blue you can see there, so just reach in and just grab it. You can feel it and pull on it. There we go. So now I'm going to take this, where it's coming out, I want to go directly across and then back over. And then I cross over in the other direction. And this time I'm going to go straight in. So I'm just going to release it to my hands on the inside. Make sure you don't stab yourself. And we're going to turn this hat inside out. So you should be able to see the blue straggler that was there. We have to secure that in a few moments. And I just want to just get some fibers, nothing too crazy, and just let this tie into a knot. Okay. Once you got that secured, you can cut that. You're going to then take that other darker blue that hasn't been secured in yet. So if you don't secure that, that's a problem. So make sure that you don't make it a problem by securing it in. And all you're just doing is tying it into a knot to hold it. So this is a slouchy kind of format, so you may want a pom-pom just to hold it down. You can decide what works for you on your own personal creativity. Any loose ends that you will have. So if you turn it inside out, just check it. I think I'm good. That was what I left. And so that's the inside. And this is the outside. So if you're ever displaying anything like this at a craft show, people get bent out of shape about pom-poms. I don't even know why. But so you may want to secure a pom-pom with a bow tie tie in the top. So you just put a strand through the pom-pom and down in, tie it into a bow tie to hold it. So if somebody says, well, I really like the hat, but I'm sorry you put a pom-pom on it, and you like, well, just undo the bow tie and take it off. So it's a really good option to have, and that's something that you can decide for yourself. So here's my hat with the pom-pom. As I promised you, it is inside with the bow tie just to hold it in case somebody complains about it. And now this is ready for my charity box. And this is a really neat idea, and I learned some great things in this particular pattern too. Have a good one. We hope to see you again real soon. Bye-bye.